simple chair exercises. She slept through the night for the first time in 2 years, and it took only 3 weeks. And by completing this episode, you can get the same results. Today, Japan's oldest doctor will guide you through those same 4 moves to stop the tingling and begin to restore the feeling in numb feet after 60. Every exercise is done sitting down. You can start the very first within a minute, and you will want to stay right through to the fourth, because that is the one that finally gave Karen her feet back. Now, before we begin, if your feet tingle, burn, or go numb at night, type the word feet in the comments. It tells us how many of you are quietly dealing with this, and it pushes this video out to more people who need it. Doctor, before we move a single muscle, let me ask the question everyone wants answered. Is this just poor circulation, or is something deeper going on?
It is much deeper than circulation, and a landmark study from Kyoto University Hospital recently proved exactly what is happening. They looked at seniors suffering from that tingling, burning, and cotton wool feeling in their feet. What they found was astonishing. The nerves in the feet were not permanently destroyed. They had simply gone dormant from a lack of specific stimulation. Even better, when these seniors performed targeted lower limb movements, skin biopsies showed they actually grew brand new nerve fiber branches. A quiet nerve can be woken back up.
That is the exact promise everyone watching needs to hear. We are not just chasing warmth today. We are sending a direct biological signal to help those nerves switch themselves back on. One quick word before we start. This routine is for waking up tired, age-related nerves, so if you live with severe diabetes or notice sudden changes, please keep your own doctor in the loop. Doctor, how do we prepare the feet before the main exercises begin?
We begin by waking the pathways gently. Watch the images on the screen. First, sit tall in your chair with both feet flat on the floor. Then slowly roll each ankle 10 times in one direction, then 10 times the other way. This immediately pushes blood down into the feet. Next, gently tap both feet on the floor 20 times, alternating left and right, like a soft, steady drum. That is all it takes to tell your nervous system that a change is coming. We are now ready for the first real exercise.
Okay, everyone, be ready. Doctor, please take us into the first exercise.
Exercise 1 is the seated toe, raise and spread. If your toes feel stiff, curled, or disconnected from the rest of your foot, the nerve pathways that control them have gone quiet, and this move sends a direct electrical signal straight up those pathways, from your toes, through your feet, and into your lower legs. If you can slip off your shoes and socks for this, please do, because bare skin against the floor gives your nerves a kind of sensory input they almost never receive anymore. The floor itself becomes medicine for a nervous system that has been wrapped in thick soles for too long. Sit tall, both feet flat. Now lift all 10 toes as high as you can and hold for 3 seconds. Feel the pull along the top of your foot. Now spread those raised toes as wide apart as you can and hold for 2 more seconds. Then lower them slowly back down. That is 1 repetition. We are doing 12. Watch which toes answer you and which stay silent. For most people, the little toe moves the least, so give it your full attention on every spread.
Watching the demonstrator on the screen slip his shoes off and do this, you can clearly see some toes responding perfectly, while the little ones look like they are struggling to listen. Karen described her feet as 2 blocks of wood every morning. Did this specific move reach her?
By the end of the first week, yes. She told me her feet felt less like wood and more like feet again. Not fully, but enough to notice. Noticing is exactly where recovery begins. The next exercise builds on this.
Okay, but before we dive into the next exercise, I need everyone who's watching to do something for me. Please tap the hype button on this video. Every single tap tells YouTube to push this session in front of more people sitting right now with cold, tingling feet and no idea what to do about it. Tap it, and let's keep going. Exercise 2, please show us.
Exercise 2 is the seated calf pump with a foot press and it goes straight after the cold. If your feet stay cold even when the rest of you is warm, your calves have stopped doing the job. The calf is the most powerful circulation pump in your entire lower body, and when it sits still for hours, blood pools down in the lower leg and your feet are left starved of fresh, oxygen-rich blood. Nerve tissue is the hungriest tissue in the body for oxygen, so when it is starved, the tingling and numbness follow close behind. Sitting tall, raise both heels as high as is comfortable, rising up onto the balls of your feet. At the very top, press the balls of your feet firmly into the floor for 2 seconds. Feel the squeeze through the calf and the spread of pressure through the arch. Now lower slowly and control it all the way down. That is 1 repetition. We are doing 20 at a calm and even pace, about 1 full raise and lower every 4 seconds. Think of it as a second heartbeat for your lower legs.
Please everyone stay with us right through to the end because the 4th exercise still coming is the one that finally gave Karen her feet back, and you truly do not want to miss it. Doctor, looking at the slow, deliberate pace of the demonstrator, what did Karen actually feel during this one?
This was the first exercise where she felt something shift in real time. By the 15th repetition, warmth had returned to her left foot, a warmth she had not felt in so long she had forgotten what it was like. That warmth is simply blood arriving in tissue that has been cold and quiet, and for anyone living with neuropathy, it is one of the most hopeful feelings there is.
Just watching that steady rhythmic count on the screen, I can imagine the warmth building in the calves for the people following along at home. It looks almost meditative, nothing like the exhausting exercises people usually dread.
And that slow pace is not optional. It is the medicine. If you rush this, you bounce on your ankles and the calf never fully squeezes. Slow and deliberate is what empties the veins and pulls fresh blood down into the foot. Now let's look at exercise 3.
Okay, everyone get ready, go ahead.
Exercise 3 is seated foot rolling with a towel, and it reaches a nerve pathway that most foot exercises miss entirely, the one running along the inner arch. The band of tissue along the bottom of your foot, the plantar fascia, is one of the most nerve-rich structures in the whole body. Years of thick-soled shoes and flat floors leave it understimulated, and those nerve endings go quiet. You do not need anything special for this. A rolled-up hand towel works perfectly. Place it under the arch of your right foot. Now roll your foot slowly forward and back from the ball of the foot down to the heel, pressing gently down as you go. You are not stretching, you are stimulating. Search for the spots that feel tight, tender, or completely numb, and when you find a numb spot, stop and hold steady pressure there for 10 full seconds. That sustained pressure gives the nerve a signal it has not received in a very long time. Roll the right foot for 60 seconds, then switch and roll the left.
Watching the screen, there is something almost soothing about rolling the foot over that towel. Doctor, you told me earlier this move also helps with balance, which surprised me.
It does, and it surprises almost everyone. The nerve endings in your arch connect through a reflex pathway that runs up to the spinal cord, feeding your sense of where your body is in space, what we call proprioception. Wake those endings back up, and your balance sharpens, which means a lower risk of a fall. All of that from a simple towel under your foot. When Karen first tried this, she could not feel the towel under her right foot at all. By the second week she could. By the third, she could feel the difference between the ball of her foot and her heel as she rolled across it. That return of sensation was not a miracle. It was stimulating meeting a nervous system that was still able to answer.
And for anyone following along who finds their towel too firm or too soft, I assume they can simply adjust the roll. Looser for a gentler touch, tighter for more pressure. The goal is steady stimulation they can feel, never a sharp wince. This is the one everyone has been waiting for, the fourth exercise, the one that gave Karen her feet back. Doctor, take us through what the demonstrator is doing here.
Exercise 4 is seated shin taps and ankle circles, and it ties everything together. If your lower legs feel heavy, or they seem to switch off after you have been sitting a while, the muscle running down the front of your shin, the tibialis anterior, has gone dormant. That muscle lifts the front of your foot when you walk, and when it weakens, the foot begins to drag, just slightly. That tiny drag is what catches a toe on a loose mat or a raised edge and turns an ordinary step into a fall. It is also fed by the peroneal nerve, one of the nerves that neuropathy strikes most often, so we are going to wake it directly. Sit tall, both feet flat, and keep your heels planted on the floor. Now lift the front of both feet, the toes and the ball of the foot as high as you can, and hold for 2 seconds. Feel the muscle working hard down the front of your shin. Lower slowly. That is 1 shin tap, and we are doing 15. Then lift your right foot a couple of inches off the floor and draw 10 slow, wide circles with the ankle, 5 one way and 5 the other, making each one as large as you can. Set it down and do 10 more with the left.
What if you feel pain?
You might feel a sharp tingling spreading up into your foot, which is nerve tissue answering the call, the nervous system telling you it is still here and still able. Karen felt it on the 3rd day, a tingling down the front of her right shin that was different from her usual neuropathy. It was sharper, more purposeful. She said it felt like a current rather than a fog. That difference between the dull, heavy fog of neuropathy and the sharp, bright current of a nerve switching back on is how you know the work is reaching the tissue that needs it most.
And looking at those ankle circles at the end of the visual, it looks like they are connecting everything. The shin, the ankle, the foot, all in one fluid motion. Are we finished now?
That is precisely what they do. And no, we are not finished yet. The circles carry the signal from the shin through the ankle joint and out into the foot, joining the whole pathway of the lower leg in one continuous loop. By the time you finish them, every part you just woke up is talking to the others again. That is why I save this move for last. It does not only train a muscle, it reconnects the circuit. Now we settle everything down, place both feet flat, and press them.
If you're focused on optimizing your health and getting the absolute most out of your nutrition, you are in exactly the right place for this explainer. Listen, today we're looking at a fascinating, heavily researched phenomenon that completely flips conventional wisdom on its head. What if I told you that the fruit sitting in your kitchen right now, the exact one you've always believed was the ultimate healthy choice, might actually be secretly accelerating your aging? We're going to break down exactly what the latest nutritional science says about how our bodies process fruit as we get older, and what you should be reaching for instead. Is your favorite fruit secretly aging you? It's time we challenge a deeply ingrained dietary myth that, let's be honest, most of us learned back in our 20s. We were taught that fruit is universally healthy, no matter what. But the scientific paradigm has completely shifted. As it turns out, older bodies process certain fruits very, very differently. The metabolic resilience we had at 25, it simply isn't the same after 60. Our cells lose insulin sensitivity, our digestion slows down, and our protective barriers thin out. Because of this, fruits that are constantly recommended in health magazines can actually become silent saboteurs in your senior years. 300%. No, that's not a typo. It's actually a shocking revelation from recent studies. Researchers have found that certain highly recommended everyday fruits can spike inflammation in seniors by over 300% in just 1 week of daily consumption. They can rapidly spike your blood sugar, leaving you exhausted, dizzy, and craving more food within hours. It's incredibly frustrating, right? Because these foods are still marketed as perfect health foods, when in reality, they might be quietly draining your strength, your heart health, and your memory. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, 4 fruits to avoid after 60. Let's start breaking down this data and count down the 4 worst fruits that are quietly draining your vitality. Starting with villain number 4, grapes. Now I know grapes look so innocent. A cold handful from the fridge feels like a light, refreshing snack. but they're essentially a sugar bomb without the brakes. Just 100 grams of grapes pack about 16 grams of sugar, but they have almost no fiber to slow down how fast that sugar hits your system. For someone over 60 whose pancreas and cells are naturally less sensitive to insulin, this triggers postprandial hypoglycemia. It's basically a violent spike in blood sugar followed by a sharp, exhausting crash that leaves you shaky, tired, and craving even more sugar. To really understand the impact here, let's look at a real-world case from the research. Meet Madeline, a 72-year-old grandmother from Ohio. She snacked on grapes almost every night, assuming they were a much safer choice than cookies. Makes sense, right? But within a year, she suffered from daily brain fog, mid-afternoon crashes, and unexplained weight gain. When her blood work came back, her fasting glucose had actually jumped into pre-diabetic levels. And if the sugar wasn't enough, consider this. Grapes carry some of the highest pesticide residues of any fruit. Tests have detected up to 56 different chemicals, including neurotoxins, that easily penetrate that thin skin and accumulate in the body over time. So what do? We make a smarter swap. If you love snacking on fruit, consider the difference here. Grapes have a high glycemic index, or GI, of 59 to 65, which means rapid sugar absorption. Blueberries, on the other hand, sit at a beautifully low GI of 25. They offer a slow, steady sugar release and a much better insulin response. In fact, the powerful compounds in blueberries actually improve insulin sensitivity and protect your arteries instead of stressing them out. Madeline made this exact swap, and her blood sugar normalized within 3 months. Moving on to villain number 3. Pineapple. This one is often sold to us as a miracle fruit, particularly for its famous enzyme, bromelain, which breaks down protein. But remember, your stomach lining is made of protein. While a young stomach is thick and resilient, after 60, that lining naturally thins out, becoming more like fragile tissue paper. Bromelain can actually start eroding that protective barrier. Combine that with pineapple's high acidity, a pH between 3.2 and 4.0, which is dangerously close to stomach acid itself, and it's really no wonder studies show 62% of adults over 60 experience severe acid reflux after eating it. Plus, it packs another 16 grams of fast-absorbing sugar, directly raising those A1C levels. Now, what's really interesting and frankly dangerous about this is the rarely discussed interaction pineapple has with common prescriptions. If you're taking blood thinners like warfarin, pineapple can actually amplify them, increasing your risk of dangerous bleeding. It can reduce the effectiveness of your antibiotics. It can even alter how your liver processes sedatives and anti-seizure medications. So for seniors managing multiple prescriptions, a daily pineapple habit isn't just a digestive risk. It can actively disrupt your critical medical care. Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden dangers of citrus. We're going to dismantle the reputation of what is arguably the ultimate symbol of a healthy breakfast. Yep, villain number 2 is oranges. You've been told your whole life to drink your orange juice, but the data shows a very different story. Oranges contain compounds called furanocoumarins. These directly interfere with your liver's cytochrome P450 enzymes,